Hey everybody. So today I thought we'd touch on chillers a little bit. Most people, even with their type 2, just don't see them a lot. You really need your type 3 to work on them. So, and even if you have your universal, a lot of the time you're not going to go and work for an industrial HVAC company. I mean, I would because that's what I designed, but a lot of people wouldn't and don't. And a lot of people only see, commercial or residential. So we're going to check out this cool chiller. We're going to see what the site visit is all about. Here we go.
While entering a chiller plant, the first step is to equip the safety equipment. Click on all the safety equipment from the safety equipment box to enable. You are now safe to visit the chiller plant.
We got all our safety equipment on.
Let's learn
Really
about the
important
chiller
in industrial
system
applications,
components
guys.
and their work. Generally, chiller systems are in the basement of commercial complexes. Let's take an elevator to reach
true.
the chiller plant. Click on the red button next to the elevator to open the elevator.
So I say that's not always true. In this application, it is.
Press the B switch in the front control.
We're learning about elevators
As
today.
we have reached the basement, let's go to the chiller plant room. Click on the access door to enter the chiller plant.
So I just want to really highlight how in-depth SkillCat is. Nobody on site is going to tell you how to use an elevator and how to walk through a door, right? We probably don't need to either. But we really, really want to make sure that we're going first step to absolute last step so that you get all of the experience of what these systems are like. So we're in the chiller
You are
room.
in the chiller plant now. Do not touch or pull any switch or valve without knowledge. Let's take information about the chiller and its components. Click
Look
on the
how
chiller
beautiful
to get
this
a
is.
closer view.
So pretty.
Click on the nameplate of the chiller to check its capacity and other important information.
All your information is going to be on nameplates, guys.
This nameplate shows the model number, serial number, refrigerant name, and refrigerant quantity. It also shows the maximum required temperature and dimensions of the chiller. You can take a moment to zoom into the nameplate to study it. Press the play button at the bottom of your screen to continue.
Okay, so I also want to point out on this nameplate, you've got your running amps and your locked rotor amps as well. So if you're somewhere in around this for your amperage, you're good. If you're somewhere around here, you've got locked rotor, you need to shut this system down. I really want to just really quickly go over the fact that the nameplate has most of the information you need. But if you need the manual and the manual is not available, you can always use the model number and the serial number to look that manual up online. The internet is your friend. It's not your enemy.
Let's check the different components of the chiller and their position. These are the different parts of the chiller. Click on the compressor to get a closer view. The compressor is always installed on the top of the water-cooled chiller, and it compresses the refrigerant.
Look how pretty that is.
Click on the condenser to get a closer view.
Most chillers you see won't be this nice.
A condenser is used to remove the heat from the refrigerant. The condenser has two pipes that are connected with the cooling tower inlet and a cooling tower outlet. The cooling tower pipe color is green most of the time and is connected with a condenser pump. Click on the evaporator to get a closer view.
So different condenser than we're used to seeing in commercial applications, right? It all does the same thing. I really want to reiterate that. Chiller systems and, your regular commercial systems are doing the same thing. The refrigerant cycle is the same. It's just a bigger, better, more badass way of doing it.
Evaporator has two pipes that are evaporator inlet and evaporator outlet. The evaporator pipe color is black most of the time, and it is connected to the primary and secondary pumps. Click on the expansion valve to get a closer view.
All right, let's check out this expansion valve.
An expansion valve is installed between the condenser and evaporator. As we have seen the primary parts of the chiller, let's check the other parts of the chiller.
So your metering device is the same, right?
Now let's see the pumps that are used in the chiller system. Click on the primary pump to get a closer view. The primary pump is used in the return line of the evaporator. The primary pump flows water from AHU to the evaporator of the chiller. Click on the secondary pump to get a closer view.
Go, secondary pump.
The secondary pump is used in the supply line of the evaporator. The secondary pump flows water from the evaporator of the chiller to the AHU. Click on the condenser pump to get a closer view. The condenser pump is used in the supply line of the condenser. A condenser pump flows hot water from the condenser to the cooling tower. Now let's see the panels that are used in the chiller system. Click on the control
Here we
panel
go. My
to get a
controls,
closer
guys,
view.
will be happy about this.
The main supply coming from the transformer or the HT room comes into this panel, and it will go to the chiller and pumps. As our visit is completed in the chiller room, let's go on the roof of the building.
To the roof.
We will use an elevator to reach the rooftop. Click on the red.
Here we go, guys. We're going to the roof.
Press the 10th switch in the elevator control panel.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. It's even taking forever. We're here! Woohoo!
As we have reached the rooftop, let's go to the nearby cooling tower. Click on the cooling tower to get a closer view.
Yeah, so you've seen cooling towers before if you're in commercial. This is on a whole other scale, right? I love them. They're so beautiful.
The cooling tower is used to cool down the water. This cool water is used for condensation. Click on the inlet pipe of the cooling tower to get it. This pipe flows hot water from the chiller condenser to the cooling tower. This pipe is connected with the sprinklers that spray hot water on the fills. Because of the fills and cooling fan, the water cools down. Click on the basin of the cooling tower to get a closer view.
Again, it's all the same. We're just removing heat, right?
The cooled water is stored in the basin of the cooling tower, and it goes to the condenser through the cooling tower outlet pipe. Our visit to the cooling tower is completed, and now we will visit the air-cooled chiller.
It's beautiful, right?
Click on the air-cooled chiller to get a closer view. Click on the nameplate of the chiller to check its capacity and other important information.
So I have installed these. They're a lot of fun. They're huge.
This nameplate shows the model number, serial number, refrigerant name, refrigerant quantity, and the maximum required temperature and dimensions of the chiller. Let's check the components of the air-cooled chiller and their position. You can take a moment to zoom into the nameplate to study it. Press the play button at the bottom of your screen to continue.
All right, so I think we can see this pretty well. I'm gonna move myself here. So you've got high side, low side, same thing that's on, any of the equipment you've already worked on. You know where to look, you know what to find. You got this.
These are the different parts of the chiller. Click on the compressor to get a closer view.
Here's the compressor.
The compressor is always installed on the bottom of the chiller, and it compresses the refrigerant.
Still just your typical hermetic compressor, right?
Click on the condenser to get a closer. A condenser is used to remove the heat from the refrigerant. The air-cooled chiller cools down the refrigerant with the help of a condenser fan. In an air-cooled chiller, the refrigerant in the condenser is cooled by the outside air. As the cooling tower cools water, it is not required to cool the condenser in an air-cooled chiller.
So there's the difference right there, you guys.
Click on the evaporator to get a closer view.
Here's our evap.
The evaporator pipe color is most of the time black, and it is connected with a primary pump and a secondary pump. Click on the expansion valve to get a closer view.
Here's our expansion valve.
An expansion
just
valve
a TXV.
is installed
See,
between the condenser and evaporator. Our cooling tower and air-cooled chiller visit are completed. Now we will visit the AHU room.
So I really was excited to do this video
because we have seen the working and components of the chiller and cooling tower. Now we will visit the mechanical room. To reach the floor, we will use an elevator. Click on the red button next to the elevator to open the elevator.
So I really just wanted you guys to have the understanding that working on industrial applications, it's different in the sense that it looks different. It's different in the sense of where things are placed. It is not different in the sense of what you know about the refrigeration cycle and the components that you're working with, the condenser, the evaporator, the TXV. It's always going to the compressor. It's always going to be the same no matter what application you're working with, as long as it's using refrigerant. It may look funny. It may be a bit intimidating if it's, 10 feet taller than you are, but it's all the same cycle and you do know how to do it. Back to the elevator.
Press the 5th switch in the front access panel.
They've got the AHU on the 5th floor.
As we have reached the floor, let's go to the air handling unit room. Generally, multiple mechanical rooms are present on each floor, depending on the cooling requirement. Click on the door of the mechanical room to open. Now you are in the mechanical room. Click on the air handling unit to get a closer view.
I just have to say that, like, Skillcat has got a handle on making these systems look pretty. I would love to walk into this system.
Let's open the access panel of the air handling unit to get an inside view. While accessing the air handling unit, always make sure that AHU is in off condition. Click on the access panel to access the air handling unit.
See, same thing you see in any RTU system, any regular air handler. It's the same thing. It's just bigger. Oh, all the panels are coming
Let's take a look inside the air handling unit. Click on the coil to get a closer view.
Coil.
The coil flows the cold water coming from the evaporator of the chiller. Click on the blower motor to get a closer view.
Here's our blower. We know that's going to go bad. Let's be real.
The motor is connected with the blower, and it pushes the cold air through the ductwork. The canvas connects the ductwork and air handling unit, and it is used to reduce the vibrations from the ductwork.
Yeah, so you don't want to hear that, right? That's why it is the way it is.
The inlet pipe of the air handling unit flows the cold water from the chiller through the secondary pump. Click on the outlet pipe of the air handling unit to get a closer view. The outlet pipe of the air handling unit flows the water from the air handling unit to the chiller through the primary pump. You can see the actuator valve is installed on the outlet pipe of the air handling unit, and it controls the flow of water. Click on the control panel to access it.
Back to controls for all my controls guys.
The control panel has a VFD that controls the speed of the motor.
VFDs,
also,
yes.
We can use this for switching on or off the air handling unit. The other panel is a DDC panel that is used for controlling the air handling unit through the computer. Click on the dampers to get a closer view. Multiple dampers are used in air handling unit rooms. The fire damper is used to prevent the spread of fire inside the ductwork. The fresh air dampers are used to provide fresh air inside the air handling unit room.
Fresh air is one of our most important
These are the
components.
primary and secondary components of the chiller system. You have successfully visited the chiller system.
Okay, so first off, site visits are super important. Getting a handle on the system that you're going to be working on is probably the most important thing that you'll do as a tech. Knowing where everything's located, knowing what kind of machinery you have will help you better fix it, A, and B, not get lost, wasting time and man hours, and C, know which tools you need, right? The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is become accustomed to always figuring out where all of your equipment is before you start working on something. It is so tempting to go to that, AHU and finding the belt bad and changing that belt. If you don't know where the rest of the system is, you're going to walk away from that belt like you just fixed the system. You don't know what else is wrong. If you're there for preventative maintenance, you don't want to be running around that building looking for, oh, wait, is there this? Is there that? It's really, really important to just accustom yourself to the equipment before you start working on it. So I hope that this was informative, you guys. And I hope that if this video does anything, it will sort of convince my fellow commercial techs or residential techs to kind of bridge off into industrial if you ever get the opportunity. It's not that scary. Have a great day, guys.